They're toys. So they can lure you, will you in. So they can come after this. The Vatican, the biggest icon that's sitting on their court is a pine cone. Not the statue of Christ or Moses or anybody else, but a pine cone all throughout the court. Ask the question why that is. If you claim to be a church, why don't you have any godly figures here? They're after the mind. To calcify the pineal gland, to make you feeding for the aliens, that race, whoever it is, that are here. They're here to feed off of you. Your emotions, your fears. Ferguson has ignited that for them. There's a biggest feeding ground ever now. They had to cause a rippling in your consciousness. Some of you might have 13 personalities and don't know it. I can demonstrate that to you right now. Okay, or you're going to turn into another human. Every 15 minutes, you have a mood swing. Every 15 minutes, you cannot maintain a certain demeanor from an hour to an hour from now. There is an unseen force.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So 1 minute you can be very happy, in 15 minutes you can be sad, 15 minutes you can be remorseful, feeling guilt. That's not you. Those are programmers that's running in the background. Okay? Those are programming. Now, I have some startling facts I have to tell you right about now. Anybody have a bad heart in here? You need to leave now. I'm only talking to those of you that have one. I gotta keep making that disclaimer. When you go home, take whomever, I don't care. 2 of you, just start with 2. Look into the mirror. Look at you very good. Look at each other very good. And then take a chair and look at each other. And then have a clock or a ticker where you can run it for 10 minutes. Get up and look into the mirror. Look at each other very good. Sit down. And then sit down and look at each other. After 10 minutes, get in the mirror and look in the mirror. You will look different. You will see each other change in 10 minutes. Here's the startling fact. For every 10 minutes, we are being swapped out by aliens. They change our features, and we don't even know it. You don't have a bad heart, do you? No, I'm serious. I don't care who they are. I could give a rat's ass about who they are. Stop doing it, whomever they are. But the bottom line is that this is what's happening to us. Here's a huge feeding ground that they're really not disclosing. They're working up to a level to kind of bring this to your attention coming 2015. They're gradually trying to get you into that direction. There's other certain things they still have to do in the process of getting that done. But they're trying to build us up to the point where we will be accepting of them. Okay, there's already been major reports from Canada, northern Canada. Suddenly, there's lots of shapeshifters there. Tons of them coming down from Canada. It's now been reported the entire city of Rochester is filled with shapeshifters. Ta-da. And they're coming down. There's being reported, I have several of my girlfriends have called me last week, this week, and told me they've seen it. I'm seeing it.
Rochester, New York?
Yeah. You've got Mount Shasta full of alien new races over there. You remember the stepwives, what do you call that movie?
Stepwives.
Stepford Wives, thank you. We have that in Mount Chester. Whole thing, the whole community. I have a very good friend.
Which mountain?
In fact, Mount Chester, the town. Mount Shasta, yes, California. Yeah. I know the light worker that are here. He wasn't born here. He lives there. Whole town is filled with that. There's new races of people already here. I've seen them in Oakland. Before I came here, I got on the phone to him. I said, you know what? Before I came here, I met a guy that was 7'4". I'm seeing faces that, you know, I kind of take a step back, take a few steps back, and I keep my eye on them. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. They are setting us up for something major. I'm trying to bring it to your awareness, but I have to talk about material stuff at the same time because they're doing it simultaneously. We are being switched out every 10 minutes. Things that we really should know, it's a muffle. And we all have to learn it through undergrounds and, you know, from colleagues and friends that are in these agencies that are, you know, very close in sharing this information with us. You know, it is unfortunate that it should be, because we have a right to know what's happening to us, who's doing this. I'm not going to take any questions right now, right at the end. So that's one aspect. They're after the conscious mind. I don't know who they are, but what was going to be happening is they're attempting to take over our bodies.
Yes.
They need a fragile mind to do it. They need a fragile mind to do it. Here's what I saw as a child. All that was happening to me was their experimental ground.
Yes.
I was precognitive of what's happening today. I realized that. All that I had incurred and endured, many years later to find others are doing what has happened to me. So obviously I must have been here on a timeline that I shouldn't have been on. My father recognized it. My father was ahead of his time too. He and I would have these conversations. Because many things that he'd tell me then is being implemented today. I recognized it. He recognized that we both knew each other for many, many lives. He said we always come together. And he was telling me things then that are being implemented. When he was telling me stuff then, 20 years later, I saw the implementation of it. Finally, I went back to him. I said, Dad, who the hell are you? Where'd you come from? What planet are you from? Because he told me a great deal of stuff. The whys was a major part of my life. Question everything. Question it all, including me. Everything that I tell you. Research it. Do your due diligence. Find it for yourself. Stand on it. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anybody's word for it. Learn it yourself. Get to know who you are and stand on that. And start saying no and don't consent. And realize what is happening. And reject it and educating teachers around you as well. So important. But you also have to come back to unify. You have to come back and unite. Because they need division. They can only accomplish this with strict division. And Ferguson is what they was looking for. Ferguson gave them that ammunition. So we got to get out and said, no, this is unacceptable. We're not going to allow martial law to trump right in. They have been there waiting for years. I mean, they've been there for months. We find out what happened was Holder gave that police department 2 military tanks, and then they gave them militarized equipment. And in 2 months, and then 2 weeks later, they shot that boy, or alleged shot that boy. Okay? It was told to them, make use of it, of those toys. Of course, we all know it's all staged. Gang members are coming up and talking, saying that they're being paid by the Attorney General of the United States to fake riots and go out. Gang members are coming forth. People are saying, we had enough, I'm not going to play this game anymore. Africa, today, certain pockets of Africa, people have refused to stop, they stopped working. They realize they are slaves, and they're working for alien races because it's more prevalent there. You can see the alien races there. It won't, this is why they allow the world to think that Africa is the most impoverished country in the world. I tell you not, it is not. It is keeping the world to go there because of the various aliens, races. Hundreds and thousands of them are living in Africa.
Wow.
They pull the wool over your eyes. Start seeing with your real eyes. Question everything. Do your research. And awaken others. That's what's going on there. Now, because of the rebellions that's taking place in Africa, this is suddenly the Ebola came on the scene. Because they want to annihilate the entire Africa. Chinese are there working. Okay, the Chinese are there, minding and working there, because they refused to work because they realized they are in a slave prison over there, and they know it's an alien race that's controlling them. This is why they're giving this false report that, we don't want anybody from Africa. Meanwhile, I met this guy that's 7'4". How the hell he got here if nobody's coming over from Africa? I met him on Thursday. The weirdest looking guy I ever met.
Wow.
Benevolent? Is he benevolent?
Is he benevolent?
Yeah, is he loving?
No, actually, I had to give him a few instructions what to do when he was there. That was the amazing part about it. He had some chick around him, and when they are not adjusted to this planet, thank you, this matter or density, they kind of walk funny. They're trying to adjust in the body. You can see, I've done psychology, so I'm a hypnotherapist, and I can see how they're adjusting their speech. So when he came there, he didn't know what to do. He just basically like, oh God, this is an alien. So I said to him, you got long legs, go to the bar, sit there, sit back. I literally was giving him instructions. I don't know what the chick was there for heaven's sakes. And I'm thinking, there's something wrong with you two are not doing anything, because how do you do this if It's just me sometimes. I get loose with the lips, And so I'm like, I'm curious.
We'd be best friends.
So he laughed. He thought it was funny. I really wanted to know. I still want to know. Anyway, so but he actually said, we manage. Really? I really like to see that. Anyways, no, never mind. I'm sorry. So anyways, I'm having that moment. I told him, so I started talking to him. I could see he wasn't fitting in. He was really trying to adopt. So, I gave him some pointers. I said, when you get here, I'm going to introduce you to some people, be friendly, be in your community. We do community things and so forth, and on and on and on. He was actually writing them down, and that's when I knew, I was like, hell yeah. Okay, so. I knew that. So I said, okay. And there's more running around, so anyway, but I sat next to him on the plane. I called my friend, I said, there's a new race of people, and they're pretty tall. Taking notice of people that's coming around. In my area, they're populating them big time, while other areas are being abducted. And they're being repopulated in certain areas. In my area, Oakland, they're dumping them there. And so they're pretty tall, and you can recognize them, long, linking neck, long fingers. And some of you recognize shapeshifters. No, that's just one of the signs. And some of them will be walking through. I had a girlfriend of mine. She says, "I'm looking at this alien. I'm going to send you a picture. Look at he can't fit in those shoes, and he's oh, it was funny. It was laughing. We was having a ball. But anyways, I was talking to one of the light workers, and a natural light being that's here on this planet to help us with this consciousness. I know a lot of people. How often do you get to meet a natural light being? There's a light being here. Didn't come through his mother or anything. It's a natural light being. I knew Gihi masters that know how to manipulate energies of this planet. I know 2 of them. They are dangerous people. They're so dangerous that they can take this ball of this earth and just ball it up. They know energy very well. I happen to know them. It's amazing, my journey here. But anyways, he says, "Deborah, are you seeing any Chinese that are tall with brown hair?" I said, "In fact, I sat next to him on the plane. And when he sat on the plane, he was stiff as a board, didn't move." He says, "Yeah, that's an alien. The Chinese ones are tall and brown hair. Had a long neck." And he actually sat there, hood on, glasses on, and he didn't move. I didn't move. I kept checking to see if he was alive. Then I had a second one to my right. He comes on. He takes out his portable tablet. He's looking at that Spartacus movie. The one where the guy kicked that tall guy into that hole. What's the name of that movie? 300. So he puts on his thick headphones. So anyways, into the flight, I needed to go to the bathroom. So, he's got his headphone on. So, I touched him light. I touched him again, touched him a little deeper. Then I dig. And I said, "This guy's dead." So, now I go on his shoulder, nothing. So I said, "Damn, I think there's a dead guy here." So, now I'm really pressing on, and now I take my knuckles and I'm pushing it on his arm. Nothing. So finally, I'm pushing. He didn't, "Excuse me, I got to go to the bathroom." I literally had to do that. And he goes, "Oh." I said, "I thought you was dead." He says, "Oh, I was just taking a nap." "Really?" And then I talked to a friend, and he says he was downloading. He wasn't quite in his body yet. He felt very cold. That's why I thought he was dead. He felt very cold. So I said to him, "I'm going to the bathroom. Don't know how long I am, but please stand, don't sit. Wait till I come back." And he did just that. He stood. I knew then he was an alien too. Anytime you give them instructions and they follow it, those are aliens. Okay, with a huge programming. All right, so, but you really have to now be more conscious aware, but they're working on possibly, quote unquote, according to them, to tell you the truth about what's really going on. Obama is supposed to have this huge announcement to tell you who he really is. You don't want my opinion. I know I've said a lot, right? They took a sample of, what's the great-grandfather of the Egyptian? No, not Akhenaten, no. I think it's Tutankhamun or Aset. There's a DNA that was extracted from that. Yeah. No, there's another one I can't think of it.
Akhenaten's father.
It was his son, the one that they came in and, yeah. You've read Akhenaten Extracto King, obviously.
No,
Oh,
no, I haven't read that.
that's something you need to read.
Okay, but,
You came to the right place.
But yeah, you're right. Well, you guys are knowledgeable. I'm just thrilled. I'm going to be having Pro Trust Academy make this headquarters here. You guys, I love you guys. So anyways, but he's...
We love you too.
Well, thank you. I'm very honored. Thank you so very much. But anyways, there's a DNA that was extracted from that. And they come to find out Michael, who's calling himself Michelle. They found that those are also ancestral back from the time they were married together. So they've gone back, and the children that they had, who is now their adopted children.
So the Freeman stuff is right? Freeman's on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Yeah, so,
Freeman, look on the internet, Freeman is a gentleman, I'm sorry.
yeah. There is much talk about them, who they come from, who they really are. So he is he's an extract from that DNA that they collected when they finally went into that tomb and got it abstracted, and Obama was that creation. How do you explain a man that doesn't have any family? They're claiming that the only cousin that he has. Okay, the people supposedly call themselves going to the polls and voting this man in that doesn't have a single family, nowhere, no grandparents, no fathers, no sisters and brothers. How's that possible? No one asked the question. He doesn't have a single relative. They're all Michael Michelle's family. All of it.
All right.
So there you have it. But he's supposed to go and tell who they are. So there's talk about what's really going on. So I don't know. Some saying that he's going to take the throne but I don't think that is going to be the case. I just think that he is the key to opening this portal that has been opened when he came into office. 100 years. He had 100 days to complete his opening of this portal. He's a key. When Obama did what he was brought here to do, he, on 101st day, went to the American people and had a press release and said, I accomplished what I came here to do. The American people, no one asked what was that. Go back and read it, or listen to it if you can find it in the archives. And then he took his vacation. Did you know any other president that on 100 days take up a vacation? He took a vacation because he accomplished what he had. He gave out lots of clues that no one was listening to. Now, the reason why I wanted to give this talk, because I really want to talk about status and standing to draw this in, because you got that maritime lien, so I want to jump in here because I don't want to keep you here all night because I can. Because there's so much that I want to tell you, but I have to figure out what parts that I want to tell you that is important for you to go, that wants to cause you to continue your research on your own. And by all means, you can, get on my website and, set up for a consultation fee if you need to go further. But there was something that Obama, when he did a Tom Joyner interview, Tom Joyner asked him, what does it feel like to be the first black president? He said, first and foremost, I'm not the first black president, which is true. He's number 8. He said, secondly, if you knew what the word black really means, you wouldn't use it. Because black means bleached up, blonde, pale. Okay? Yeah. Now, white means pale death. You get how they have deceived you guys? They got you calling yourselves slaves using the term black and white. Wow. You are giving them consent over you because you are using their slang. Now, aren't we into the issue with the 14th Amendment, United States citizen, that some of you don't identify with because you say you claim you are sovereign? Well, they figured, these people are going to figure this out. So might we get them to admit to our terms? English slang calls white, black, Negro, Afro-American. and native. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yep.
Any race you identify with, you're identifying yourself as a slave. They were hoping that everybody is doing what they're doing. Well, the issues about black and white, the blacks have been, getting more time. We've known this for years. Suddenly, everybody's having an awakening aha moment that, men, the people of color are doing, the judges are giving them 15 times more sentencing than of their Caucasian counterparts. That's been going on. That is nothing new. There's nothing new about that. They are on their way out. The last hold they have on this country is division. And they already know they were going to feed into that frenzy, and they got it. However, they had to fake it. And then the world has chimed in on it. Suddenly, everybody's feeling so sad about the black people that the men are doing 3 times the time of that of anybody else. Get off of it. That there might be some truth to that, but that's not what they're really looking at here. They want you to identify yourselves as slaves. See, years ago, many years, we learned, Congress taught us all, never put, when there was a choice to put black and white, I have always, to this day, say other.
Perfect.
Other. Now, let me tell you the other part that Obama said. After he corrected Tom, he said, if you knew what the word black meant, you wouldn't use it. Then he turned around and said, black have no standing in law. If you're a slave, you have no standing in law. So as long as they're identifying themselves as black, they're slaves. You cannot have sovereign. In other words, is what they're saying to you. You cannot be sovereign because you're a slave. And besides, if you're sovereign, you're living, breathing, feeding, and we can't interact with you. The only way you're going to interact with us is that of like-kind commerce. This is why they created your name in uppercase and put you in a corporation, because they're telling you, technically, they can't deal with you, but they're holding the real you, the living, breathing, surety for the collateral of the damages that the corporate fiction supposedly have done to their corporate fiction. You're none the wiser walked in there being sureties for them. This is why they have verbal communications, because you showed up in person. Corporations. Corporate fiction entity can only do business and operate and communicate with another corporate fiction entity. That's why they created you as corporations. You were supposed to tell them you are a representative or an agent of it. When you run a business, for those of you who had a C corporation or an S corporation, don't you take on a different title? You become the CEO. And then when you open up a bank account, doesn't the bank say, who is the authorized representative for the company? You say, me, the agent. This is how you should have gone about them. They cannot recognize you as a sovereign. And if you are a sovereign, then you need to have an organization of your own, a governing body. This is why I came to Yelm, and this is why I'm going around the country to teach people about being in a trust. You cannot be in a trust and not have a foundation or a sovereign behind, or a trust organization behind you. They don't recognize you. They cannot interface with you. But once you get a trust and you identify yourself as a trust, you are a corporate fiction entity that they have now become neutral. There's one country on this planet that is neutral, that all countries have agreed to. Can anybody tell me what that is? New.
Switzerland.
Thank you.
Where?
Oh, yes.
Switzerland.
That's right. That's their backyard. All countries agree there will never be any fighting or incident of any kind or uproar in that country at all. There's two jurisdictions. There's private and there's public. In order for you to move about through commerce, you need to have a neutral party. So when you were going to court, instead of hiring a bar attendant, attorney, or a prostitute, or, you should have brought in a notary. And oh, by the way, getting back to the courts on that, the position, you have no idea the power that the notary has. An enormous amount of power. If you go, I have the notary book on my website for a fee. You get it downloaded, or if you find a copy, go to old bookstores or that have outdated bookstores, and you might find copies of it for notaries and banks. I suggest you go look it up. Notaries have an enormous power. In fact, 3 or more notaries can have a court. In fact, 3 or more notaries can override any court decision that comes hand down. Because after all crimes are commercial. Why people are doing 25 years to life and being executed? Well, I've asked a lot of judges why that is, and they said that you volunteered. You consented. Yes. You have volunteered to go to prison. Yes. Because everything you've done, until the day that I'm educating you, you've consented. Yes. You've done this to yourself. Everything they have to do to you has to appear that you volunteer. This is why the police officer said, "May I come in?" And you can say, "Hell no." They're vampires. You see, they can't hold their form. They're shapeshifters. They can't hold their forms. They have to switch and bake. You know, vampires have to suck blood so they can hold their forms. That's what they are. If you look at it in that regards. They need you to consent, just like a vampire needs you to. He needs to consent to come in. Once they come in, they continue to use that first consent over and over and over, even after you change your mind. So you have to get the first no. See, what I used to tell my clients, and I have gotten several people off that was looking to face 20 years or more last year. 4 guys, they were on gun charges. And I told them, because every time they will put them in court, they make sure that I couldn't be there to represent them because I had other court cases. So I would have to, they would call me and, they would say, "Oh, I got to go to the bathroom." And you call me on the phone and I told them what to do and you go back and so forth and on and on. One judge knew he was being coached by me, but he, anyways, the shame came out. But he was okay with it because he said I taught him very well. They don't have jurisdiction on it. The courts, the judges are told to tell you that. They are told to tell you that. If you don't know you have that right to say no, you cannot exercise it. They are told to tell you that. You can say no, then I disagree. When you give them controversy, because the only way they come alive when they are dead is you gave them controversy. Controversy, because the problem with the jurisdiction is controversy trump. Why? You're a prisoner of war. You're on their vessel. The Pirates of the Caribbean is a story about that. I suggest you go back and watch that. Remember the woman who wanted to negotiate with the captors, and she went over on their ship to negotiate on their terms, and then she tried to turn and leave, and they go, "I'm sorry, you're a prisoner of war." You can't do that. You can't negotiate peaceful terms on their territory, on their vessel. They have their flag. You have to understand their jurisdiction. The flag is an indication. Judges, I ask them all the time. I said, "What is up with this?" He says, "People don't know what jurisdiction they are." He says, "What's behind me all the time? What's behind any judge?" I said, "There's usually 2 flags. What are those flags indicating? You're in tribunal, courts. And one of the other one is the military. Anytime a judge, when you go into court and the judge takes more than 1 recess, he's changing the venue. When you first enter there, it's a contractual agreement. If you start saying no, that ends that contract. Once they get beyond your contractual agreement to consent, he now takes you to the other jurisdiction. It's called admiralty. They say, "Reset, your case still on the table?" "Oh God, okay." Now he's changing the venue. Because the judge has 5 roles that they take on. They have 5 hats that they wear because they're acting.
What's the third?
I'm getting to it. Okay, it's admiralty. And if he takes that third reset, he's now going to Talmudic, canon Roman law.
There you go.
You went from contract to being treated as a war criminal, possibly sentenced for life, to being sentenced to death. Okay? When the judges start to go into those various resets, they've changed venues on you. That's why most people don't know where they are when they are there, what the venue is. It's best to say no, no, no when you go there. I don't consent. I refuse to accept your offer to contract, and that's be done with it. I just had a colleague, she called me today. She says, Deborah, you're going to be proud that I taught a student your material. She won her case today in court.
Oh, wow.
They were trying to get her on they were trying to get her on credit card fraud. She actually did pay the debt off with the first debtors, which was the bank. The bank still wasn't happy because she refused to pay all the penalties because she paid the debt. So there were still some outstanding penalties from that by Anyways, we'll go into that. We can go into that just a little bit. So anyways, they decided to sell this debt to a new attorney firm. And so they was going into a mediation today with the judge to mediate this case to see if they can come to some kind of rational conclusion, rational draw on this. And she said she took the witness stand. They called her up to the stand, took the witness stand, and he just came up and started cross-examining her. And he had no paperwork, nothing in his hand. So she sat there and looked at him, allowed him to talk. He was asking questions, but he was also making statements. So finally, he says, Your Honor, are you going to ask the witness to say something? So she says, are you going to say anything? She says, who the hell are you? And he was taken back. Excuse me? I don't know who you are. Which is true. This is how you have to really be conscious of what's going on. Because he just put her on a stand. He never identified who he was, which is right. She said, I don't know who you are. Why should I be asking any questions? So the judge looked, okay, she does have a point. He said, well, she said, who are you? He says, who am I? I bought your debt. So she says, you couldn't have, but there's no debt out there. I don't owe any debt. So the judge said, wait a minute, hold up. What do you mean you don't have any debt? She says, you don't have any debt? She says, we live in a debt-based society. Everybody has a debt. She says, but I don't know who he is because I paid my debt. So she says, I want to thank you she says, I want to thank you for buying my debt, but I didn't ask you to buy my debt for me. I don't know who you are. My debt is paid for, but thank you. Whoever you are, thank you. And I don't consent, but thank you. So the judge says, well, I guess that's the end of that. She said, no. You have to rebut it with a no right away because your first presentation or your first viewing or your first level is contractual. They want you to continue to consent. Once they get you consent, then they go in and then change up the venue right away on you. Now you're in admiralty, and this is where they can sentence you to jail. And that's where you come in contempt of court, and you can bailiff, take them, put them back there in our dungeon. Once you gave them the consent, because when they call your name, I want to get into that because it's so important. You see, what they've done to trick us, to lure us to accepting their verbal communication, they use sound. Deborah, when it's spelled with the uppercase, versus Deborah is spelled the proper case. Deborah, is there a difference in my name? When I'm pronouncing my name? Anyone? No, that's right. That's right, they use sound. Because they know that I, Deborah, is going to respond to Deborah when you call Deborah. Okay? This is the trick. Now, if you ever notice that when they call you in the courts, they say the state of California versus Deborah. There's a distinct, high-pitched tone, strong, but I've been trained to listen to it. You haven't. But you're going to answer because it sounds like they're calling me. That's your first objection to say, no, that's not me. And you can say, I'm here on a restricted appearance to resolve this matter because I'm an agent for that name that you're pronouncing in all uppercase. You have to define who you are and why you're there. When you didn't do that, you didn't rebut them. And then when you go into, once you start talking about anything else, you brought in controversy, and it trumps jurisdiction all day long. Because you consented into, you don't know who you are, you don't know where you are, you're lost, that's why you're in office, you're drowned, you're ward of the state. Just like the judge has 5 roles, so do you. You're either dumb, you're a ward of the state, you're incompetent, you're an orphanage, and you're a prisoner. So they just keep switching up on you till you consent. You don't know this well enough because you don't know who you are, because if you live and breathe in the, why are you playing around with dead people? Just like they saying that you're dead, why are you just saying that you're dead? Why am I talking to a ghost? You shouldn't be there in the first place. That's what you people are supposed to be in the sovereign community. If you say who you say you are, you shouldn't be there in the first place. But you didn't know this part. So what they've done is it's called identical sound. Under Latin, it's called idiom. I-D-E-M means identical. Sonas, S-O-N-A-N-S, sound. So they got to say Deborah, because it sounds like my name, I'm going to answer. It's identical sounds. That's how they trick and lure you into their jurisdiction, using verbal communication. Because we all know when we was taught through their school fool system that anything spelled in uppercase, we immediately rejected and said, that's not me, I don't recognize that. That's immediately what we do. That's why they bypass the written and get you to engage in verbal, because it's easier to fool you. Start reading, folks. You'll see the fraud all day long. They don't want you reading. That's how they trick you. But also, that's the reason why the courts have to have verbal arguments, is because technically, here's another problem. Flesh versus paper. It is Latin for disparata non debit jange. Dissimilar things are not to be joined under maximum of law. I told you about paper. They are a corporation. They're dead. So, I asked this piece of paper to get up and dance for me. Dance for me. Dance for me. Guess it won't dance for me. So I have to pick it up. And now this comes alive through me. They got you to push around their paperwork, their trust, because they went into bankruptcy. They convince you that 9/10 is possession, but that's not Trump. What trumps that again? Title. What trumps title?
Lien.
You've been trumped twice. You only have possession, then there's title, and then there's a lien. That's why the maritime lien is a super lien. They want to make sure that you stay in that system. And they get you consenting all day long, every day. They want you to shut up, sit down, and vote. That's why people call me and say, Deborah, the judge was telling me to shut up, rightfully so. You shouldn't be there in the first place. You don't know who you are, but they have those grounds to do that. You're on their vessel. That's first and foremost.
If you step on their ship.
If you step into their vessel, yes. They're in dry dock. Once you step in there, you are foreign land. That's why they're taking Ron Class down on War Powers Act. They're using that to take him down. He called me. I did a show with him to talk about that. I told Ron to pull out. He asked me to come and help him. I said, no, that's a Trojan horse. I want no part of that. You created that mess, Rod. I got on his show. I talked about it. And numerous people try to get me to come on because they know I have information. I can't help Rod. He didn't understand jurisdiction at all. It's paramount that you understand your jurisdiction. Who has a region, who does not. And you have to really get to understand that. It's so paramount. So status and standing is everything. And as long as you're identifying with yourself as Native or American, I mean, hell, what do we supposed to call ourselves? Melon. People. That's what I call. If you identify yourself as white, as black, as Native, African, white, whatever, those are English slang as for slaves. So you have to be, I don't know, what the hell? I don't even know what to say. And certainly don't use the word person. That chair is a person, that desk is a person, for heaven's sakes. I mean, they've got us coming and going. We don't even know how to communicate anymore. We have to decide to determine who we are. And then we have to create our own governing body, and we have to operate in our governing body, and we have to stop saying no and stop getting consented to. That's what we have to shut it down for. Because they are going down. Believe it or not, they are. However, for the few people, I'm going to do that. For the few of us that can do something about it, you know, good, various type of frequencies that you do, vibrations. I do what they call, going to get into that a little bit, I do what we call a timeline. I get off the timeline of the alien that controlling time on this plane. And every time I do that, anybody that comes in direct contact with me, directly or indirectly, I release you. There's a releasing that going on. When you come off the timeline, you're no longer affected by that consciousness, that negativity experience. What caused your karmatic is being on that timeline. It repeats itself. You continue to have that experience. If you want to stop having an experience of something that is not for your betterment but for your detriment, you have to come off a timeline. Because you're being swapped out every 10 minutes. There are aliens that's buying you like stock for 10 minutes. That's why you change from multiple personalities during the course of 1 hour. Every 10 minutes. You're actually being bought. The aliens are actually stressing. If you're angry, that's why you got to quickly get over it. And I'm going to show you a technique so you stop it. When you go into an angry state, you notice your entire day is in an angry state. They put you on a timeline where you're going to encounter that very state. They're going to put you on a timeline that's almost 100 years into the future. You're riding on that timeline until you jump off of it. You wake up tomorrow, you're going to have similar experiences what you had yesterday, because every 10 minutes, a new alien is buying your timeline. You've got 1, you have 2, 3. Now you've got 3 different timelines. That's why you continue to have the same experiences over and over and over. See, this is what it's really all about. They're using material stuff to get your attention. And then they're using the fear of loss to get you to perform. Because they're feeding off of you. They're feeding off of your emotions, your fear, your anxieties, your divisions. I'm tall, you're short, I'm fat, you're skinny, you're blonde, I'm curly hair, I'm Negro hair, whatever. All of that is a fragmented of your consciousness. They have made you fragmented. They can do this to you because the consciousness cannot function as a whole when it's fragmented. This is how they can take over you quickly. You're easily too susceptible to being possessed. Meditation is good, some strong discipline, like-minded people, some great mind techniques to ward them off. When you encounter something that is not nice, if that's not my timeline, I'm not in agreement with that. Cut it off at the knees right there. Recognize it for what it is. You're going to get more and more people that's going to come into your life because they're doing their best to take me out with new people coming in. I see them. I can see them before they come. I already know what they got to do. I just let them have that experience because I know how to jump timeline. I had difficulties going out in public sometime because I literally could see each person. I could tell, I knew how they were going to interact with me. I could see it like you're watching a movie. I was like, oh God, I don't want to shake his hand because he's a pervert. I don't want to shake his hand. He didn't wipe his butt when he just got from the toilet. So it took me a while. I had to, go to my master and my father. Go, Dad, I just don't want to deal with people. I can see them. He says, honey, they got to have the experience. And perhaps you're here because you still have to learn something too. Like, damn, shake somebody's dirty hands. I used to have a hard time shaking men's hands. I was like, no, you just touched your penis when you went to the bathroom. No, I don't shake your hands. So, it was, so that's, and then of course when I shook a person's hand, I could see their whole life flash before. So, I said, Father, the gift that I have is too strong for me. It doesn't allow me to interact with people that I need to because I'm here he says, yes, you're here in a special mission, but I have to get beyond that. So that's, is just something that, I do struggle with. There's a lot that I have to learn about this life. But ultimately, what they're after is your consciousness, your conscious mind. And they're doing everything, they're throwing in the kitchen sink for it. You have to fight it just as equally as powerful as they do. This is no time to be lax at all. And at the same time, materially, you have to make a transition very quickly. Because what Ferguson's igniting, me and a couple others working on changing that timeline so it dies down and make it done and go after these monsters. You have to do your part too. Don't fuel it. They're feeding everything we do. You have to be consciously of what you do every day. If you offend someone, be sure you go back and apologize. That will be a karmatic, that will be a problem for you later on. We have to be aware of everything that we do every single day. Every day I look at myself and I go, okay, did I offend anybody today? Who do I need to apologize to? I do a self-evaluation every single day. I close it down with that. I don't get it right, yeah, sure, we fly off at the handle. But as long as we can go back and control our wind and not being out there like a wild billy, uncontrollably. See, they think of the people in the minority communities as dehumanized. As a matter of fact, one of the senators got on the floor, the new senators actually stated that blacks is not black. There's going to be another thing you're going to hear more of this coming up. You might start hearing more blacks as they get to know there's DNAs that are being requested of people. And you're going to hear new terms that's going to come up. Because the real natives of this land, they're not Native Americans as they say they are. They have found that the race that came here 1.5 million years ago were the dark race. We are coming 360 degrees today. Well, not today. That race that was here is 360 degrees. Whoever came here at that time came back here at this time to finish it. That's why you have a black president. That's why it's easy for me to come out and step out. That's why leaders are where they are today, women, people of color. We're completing that circle. So perhaps we're going to be finished with that probably. Some of us are not going to come back. So it's a different time period than what it really is. When I finally cracked that open, I was like, oh, damn. This is really amazing. But they clued me into what this is really about. Also, the other ticket, if you don't watch what you're doing, is the final attempt is to entrap the soul here on this planet. Okay? They don't want you out. I mean literally. It is here to entrap the soul indefinite. They like what's going on in Ferguson. So many of them is going to have to they're going to have to pay that off many multiple times. I don't even know how many lifetimes they're going to have to play that out. The timeline on that is just enormous. We call it beyonda. Okay? That's how they trick you. That's how you keep coming back. Your timeline is stretched out there. I can show you how to put an end to it. It's going to take some work. But you have to collapse all those timelines they have you on. Our cells, those of us that's here, we are projected somewhere else trying to make sense of, correct our actions now. We're not here by coincidence. I don't give into that at all. There is no such thing as coincidentals. We all agree to be here at a certain time to reawaken together, or to ignite, or at least have a remembrance of it. Because we're trying to remind ourselves what is trying to entrap us. You have to be consciously aware now what's really going on. Don't be quick to gravitate to their new toys. It's not for your betterment. It's for your detriment. Their sole purpose is for this, to go after this. You've got to come into your full consciousness. You need to do it at an accelerating speed. At an accelerating speed. And there are energies here to help you to do that. You've got to be willing to move a little quicker than you are now. This is one of the lowest consciousness planet in this galaxy. And they want to keep it that way. That's why they bring a new race of people here. But they couldn't get that done until they tricked you and took everything from you to make you fragile. Because whoever this person that they claim is going to be the Antichrist, please don't buy into that. But that's their moment to make you appear to be, you're desperate, will do anything to save my family. Let me be very, very clear. Every family you have, every member of your family is here of their own accord. You're going to have to cut that umbilical cord. Because there is a cording. There's a cord. We call it cording. That is attached to you. If you could see with your third eye, you would see. You remember the Matrix movie? Where Neo was in his pod and you start pulling these things out. That's what we all are connected like that, and even more. You might have to walk with less friends. You might have to cut all your family members. Your life, your consciousness is important. Save yourself first before you can save someone else. I am here to do as much as I can to help assist you in that. I got to save me. I'm working on me. But at the same time, those of you that wish to be on the journey, if I can assist you in any way, I'm here to do that. I stepped out for that. I saw this early. I knew it wasn't about foreclosure, it was something greater because of the way it was. I used to see demons. I used to talk to them. I used to battle them. Occasionally I still do. People that used to leave the body would come to me so they could exit. And if they didn't, they would try to take possession of me, and there was a fighting, literally. Okay, this is not what you think this is. This is not a picnic. And hopefully that will get you started, or hopefully that it'll spark something in you. If nothing else, go and learn more about it. Find ways. Now let me get into. I want to close this out. I have no idea what time it is. We could be in beyond already. So I'm hoping that this is helpful to you.
It's 10:30.
Oh, okay. Wow. Was this helpful to you? Was this find this inspirational? Or is it, I'm sure some of you probably shocked. I don't know. So far, there's no paramedics here, so. So the technique that I want to share with you, I have to do it without the mic. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first technique. First, we have to see what timeline that we're on. And the way that I do this, where we do it, is take finger, index. Just watch me first before you do it. Where's my timeline? What timeline am I in? My finger will move and let me know where I'm going. Be here and now. When the finger moves in your right direction, you're in the future. When your finger moves to the left, you're in the past. I command now the thoughts from my head drop into my heart center. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
When you get a laughter and you can't even complete it, I took you off the timeline. Because I'm off the timeline, so have you guys been released. Some of you probably sensed that, feeling like, wow, something happened. Okay. Now, they can't find me. I'm off the timeline. So this is how you do that as often as you need to. We call it crashing timelines. Now, I brought up about the Ferguson issue because I want to take you and myself off that timeline. You per se are not off it, but because you are energetically connected to me, I have released you from having that experience along with myself. For every person that when we work on our conscious mind, each one of us affect 100,000 consciousness. Okay? This is what they don't want you to know. That's why the division. Because as you come together, there are 7 billion people on this planet. You only need the consciousness of 7,000. You can literally change the fabric of this planet with only 7 strong, conscious, highly evolved 1,000 people. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's important that you come together in a unified cause. Do what is required to constantly elevate and your consciousness. and be consciously aware and exercise, evolve consistently. Find a way that you are progressing every day. Do not stop remaining stagnant. That entity out there is feeding off of your fears, emotional drama, victimhood, whatever, I don't give a damn kind of mentality. They love it. They're feeding off of it. You see, when I finished, I started laughing. They're gone. They got nothing there. I'm off the timeline. They can't absorb me. That's what we call, the first technique is finding where your timeline is. Where's my timeline? And just allow your finger to move. Hang on before I take a question. Just allow your finger, and it usually will move going in that direction or in this direction, to your right or to your left. And then you slowly bring it back as you saw me to do it. Slowly bring it back. I generally use it with my eyes, but for the purpose of, I usually do it with my eyes closed, and then I can feel where it stops automatically. It has to stop in front of your nose, because that's neutral. Past. This is the future and past. This is the being here now. This is what, when they were trying to tell you all these psychologies and all these people that was telling you be here and now, they couldn't explain it to you because that's the only way you can be here and now. They tell you to sit down and be in meditation for 15 hours. You don't need to do this. This puts you in a higher state of consciousness like that because you are here and now. You're off a timeline. There's no controlling you. Energetically, they have released you. It's been cut, severed. When you go and speak about the issues that you just remove yourself from, you cause a reprint.
Yep.
And you get back on that mineline, and now you're going to have some experiences. Now, when you jump the timeline, what they had in mind for you you might have just missed a train coming to hit you. So what's going to happen is you're going to get a brusque of it, where you were intended to die. So when you jump up the timeline, you changed it. It shifts. You'll get just a wind of it and it'll go. When you do that mind to heart drop, you continue to do the 10, 9, 8. Now, let me explain how that's done. When you say, I command now, anything that you want to manifest, you can do it right now when you do this. This is how you manifest quickly. The other garbage, I'm not saying garbage, I shouldn't say garbage, but it's for those that needs to learn it that way. I'm giving you an accelerated version of it. When you do the mind to heart drop, once you get to it, I command my thoughts from my heart center drop into, I command now the thoughts from my head drop into my heart center. You see it, you visualize an elevator that is dropping. Now I do have to go into this 10, and then you count it down, 10, 9, and each time you count, you feel it dropping. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay?